G'day subscribers, today we're going to be taking the steering wheel off the FJ Holden, and I've got little Elodie with me who wants to crawl over Dad while we're doing the job and trying to shoot the video. So welcome to Jive Talking Garage. You're with Jules Knight and little Elodie, the shop apprentice. So the steering wheel we've got on this car is what it came with. So as we're starting to brighten things up, we've repaired the dash. We've got that all fixed. We've painted the dash. We've done some nice things to it. There was a scratch that's been made in the speedo head, unfortunately, so I've got a new speedo head for it. But the steering wheel is... Look, it's a good steering wheel, but the paintwork on it is a little bit ratty. So I've got a horn ring for it, and so we've got the nut and the horn contact that's here. Then there's a little button underneath. So what we should be doing is getting rid of that, taking that off, so we can actually get the steering wheel off. Now, it's only been on for 3 years, so I would suggest that perhaps it's not going to need a lot of, well, it won't need pullers because we don't have a puller for it, but I should be able to get it off because we, when I say we, I'm meaning that great man, Russell Tronk. The Tronkolator gave me a hand to put it all together and put it on. So, yeah, let's see how we go. So we've taken the nut off and we can see that we have this contact ring that goes around it, and you think, okay, so we've taken the nut off, and there's also a washer, a star washer that goes underneath of it to hold it in place. Okay, so that's off. But in thinking about it, okay, well, what do we need to remove as Louis tries to say hello to everybody and tell someone to get out of his park across the street? And be that as it may, I also have little Miss Elodie there inspecting the whole situation. So that's perfectly fine. So this contact ring will not only come off, but you'll see it's got this little tang that's there. Now that tang is a locator, and that goes in there. So you've got that tang as the locator for this contact ring, and you might think, okay, well, you need it, you don't need it, or whatever. My friend's FJ panel van, they got a Baker's van, and I've got to say, it didn't have a proper tang in there, and for whatever set of reasons, the one that had been installed for them, it didn't work. Now, the other piece in here is this little contact button. That's what actually makes contact and earths with the electrical circuit when you depress the horn button. So you're pushing onto this ring, it's contacting the ring, and then it's contacting this little push in, push out button, and then that's completing the circuit, and then this is what happens for why it actually then works. Now, through wheel alignments and the adjustment for the wheel alignments, the steering wheel goes from, if it was set straight, well, wheel alignment can change whether the steering wheel sits straight or whether it moves a little bit for it to drive in a straight line. So needless to say, what I've done for the moment is I have, so that I put it back in the same place before I start tinkering around with it, I've put a mark on the thread of the steering shaft at 12 o'clock. And I've also put a mark on the steering wheel itself at 12 o'clock so that they match up. So when it comes time for me to, when I finish doing all the work that I want to do to the steering shaft, well, I'll put that back, and it will at least be, as Elodie says hello, it'll at least be where we started, and then I can adjust from there. But for the moment, I know I've removed the contact ring, I've undone the nut and the star washer, and now I'm going to actually leave this in place. This little button, I want to leave that contact button in place because I don't want to muck around with it. If I have to move it later, I will. But for the moment, I just want to get things out in situ and keep it together, because then if I keep it together, I'll be able to understand it, and if I can understand it, I can actually get it back. But there's always the trusty General Motors Holden workshop manual, so we'll see how we go. So what we've had to do is put the nut back on the thread of the steering shaft to protect the thread. And then this is an old trick I saw Russell Tronk do about 1986 when he owned Fulcrum Suspension. Put the nut back on, take everything off, put the nut back on to protect the thread. And once the thread was protected, put the nut down that it was flush with this, because it gave you another area, and then you hit the nut. And then what happened with the nut, so I was hitting the nut with the ball peen hammer, and as I was doing that, I had a knee either side of the steering wheel, and I was putting opposing pressure against the steering wheel, and as I was impacting the steering shaft and just tapping it with the ball peen hammer, well, this actually released. So when I put this back on, I will make sure that there is plenty of grease back on those splines, so that if I need to get the steering wheel off again, I don't have to go through all that palaver. Anyway, that gets the steering wheel off, and that's what you can do to remove your steering wheel when you don't have the pullers. And as you can see here, you've got the other contact that's inside there, which is from the underside of the little button that's there. So while I've got it out, I'll give that a bit of a clean up. I'll hit it with a bit of brake cleaner and a bit of a going over with a light sand, as in with ultrafine sandpaper. But I can at least go ahead now and do the work that I need to do with my steering wheel. So there you go. That's just a little bit of a quick hint and a hint on how to remove your steering wheel. This is what I've seen work, and in my situation, I saw Fulcrum Suspension do it. So I'm thinking, gee whiz, that was 1986 or so, and here we are at 2026. And so I thought, well, I'll give it a go. So it worked just fine. Jive Talking Garage. Don't forget, share, like and subscribe, but more importantly, L&D agrees with me. Enjoy your Holden.